Mira Business FM, the sound of success.
It's the morning drive. It's Mira Business FM. For years, enterprise resource planning, or ERP as it's known, systems have been the backbone of most major businesses, but they've also been notoriously clunky, manual, prone to human error, of course. But what if your ERP didn't just record data, but actually understood and audited it in real time using AI? There's a question. This morning, for Scale or Fail at Mira Business FM, we're joined by Humayun Nasir, who is the founder of Humanize. I thought it was Human AI to Z, but it's Humanize. It's a company building an AI-powered ERP or enterprise resource planning platform. It's designed to manage everything from accounts and tax to HR, procurement, and reporting, using AI in the background. And he's with me. Did I get that right?
Yes, Reem, good morning to you. And you have exactly, I would say, summarized the whole, AI Humanize, which I'm working on.
Well, I'm quite pleased with myself. I have to say, a little metaphorical pat on the back there. Tell me, welcome, but what inspired the idea to build AI-powered ERP from the ground up?
Yeah. So basically, Humanize represents me, my skill set, my journey of 20 years. And what I've seen is that I have been at every level of, you can say, finance and tax mixed together. Okay. It's not something, you can say out of the box which has been created. It has always been there in the market, but finance and tax have always been looked at in isolation. There has never been an integration, never been an audit trail. So over my 20 years of journey being in the industry where the real fun lies and where the real challenges lying, be it in the oil and energy sector, be it in private groups, the common challenge which I had seen was that, when it comes to dealing with the tax authorities or even doing simple analytics as well, also when you file whichever country's tax return, be it corporate income tax return, VAT, withholding tax, or any countries where you operate filing tax returns. I know in UAE, tax is new kid on the block, but we have so many other GCC countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, where taxes have been there for ages. And then if you go to the overseas countries, like towards the European countries, the African countries, it's very mature over there.
Yeah.
And the common thing which I saw was that the biggest issue which I saw was that how it's not when you are representing yourself to the tax authorities or explaining them things, it's basically understanding your financial data. How do you have control over the data? And that's where the biggest challenge was, that you have to redo everything from scratch being a tax professional. And that's the biggest pain point. You have very short amount of time where you have to, it's like a do and die situation. So unless and until you have the full, it's like, the authorities don't know as much as you don't know. So it's better to understand the data. That's where I came up with this, looked at the market, the scenarios and everything were the same only. Everybody was having the same pain point, but there was nobody highlighting these pain points or talking about it, or there wasn't any solution. Then we have these legacy ERP systems, SAP, Oracle, then Microsoft Dynamics, then QuickBooks, Xero. Everybody, there was in this software very nicely built, the debit and credits, it's all up to you how you want to book them. But the biggest issue which I was seeing was there was no governance around it. Now, when we talk about financial data or accounting data, we talk about, these are being covered by standards, accounting standards called as IFRS and IS. So none of these softwares have those already built in. So I was reading one article on LinkedIn whereby one of the company's MD was saying, I spent billions of dollars on implementing SAP. And I asked my junior to give me a report, and he said, there's no configuration of this in SAP. And I was like surprised. Then what did we pay for? So that's the issue. You have layer on layers of hierarchies of preparers, reviewers. But the problem is that the pain point is not being highlighted. And these issues only get highlighted at the time when the tax authorities, really go into the transaction level detail.
When the pain's really about to hit,
Yes,
the
yes.
taxman's
And then
knocking at the door.
we are talking here about from a time period about, let's say, 5 years when they come to you. So by that time, everything is dusted. You don't have knowledge of the financial data. You have moved on. You don't have the financial record. So it's the taxman.
Okay, so you thought, right, a rebuild is necessary here. But let's just jump back slightly. Why is it that traditional ERP systems struggle so much to keep up with modern businesses? Because I've used SAP and Oracle, the Oracle system a few times in different ways. And I've got to be honest, I find them really tough to use. They are not simple to navigate.
I agree. See, the problem is that the knowledge is there in these ERP systems. The setup is there. But the thing is, you need time and we need specialists. Each and every function specialist needs to be there to invest into each and every module. Let's say, for example, there is the payable modules, there is the receivable modules, there is the petty cash, and so most. I will not name one company whereby I had worked, and I had really seen the amount of money and time they had invested in building a state-of-the-art, I would say, Oracle system, whereby you just click a button and you will get all the reports, the financial statements, everything. So it's like, again, the customization and the value for the skill set, combined skill set that has to be put into by different functions. But in today's world, where you have so many things changing, and people don't have time to invest in such busy things.
Well, they don't. I mean, look, I simply for me, I've tried billing through these things, but to be honest with you, when you bill through this thing, they send you a great big manual. Read the manual, and you're like, no, come on, it can't be that difficult just to log an invoice in your system. So I suppose there's been a lag. Let's put it that way. So the core of your platform then is that it uses AI to validate, classify, to audit transactions, and that's in real time.
Yes.
Right. So for anybody, for a finance director who may listen to this, watch this at any point, that's a big shift in the month-end close or the year-end close, isn't it?
So it's basically, as soon as you don't have to be a tax-savvy person, or you don't need to be a proper accountant as well also to use the software, Humanize. That's where the AI will support you.
Okay.
And the thing is, the AI is so much dynamic that on a daily basis, it's going through the environment, that we have set up, the parameters that we have set up. It's learning based on the data which we feed into it, and also scoping the changes around the world as well, also that are happening as well, be it financial, be it, tax. Because what I feel is that, you cannot overlook the tax side. It has to go both hand in hand when you're recording an accounting transaction. Each and every transaction has a tax point, be it from a corporate income tax perspective, be it from a VAT perspective.
Right.
So what it does to you is that, let's say, preparer, books an accounting entry, and he doesn't know, it's again debit credit. The problem in today's softwares is we do not have those harnesses, those governance features. As soon as he puts an entry in, immediately, the AI tells, no, is this a correct entry or a wrong entry? And then it also tells you that what is the correct entry going to look like. And unless and until you do the correction, it's not going to move ahead.
Okay.
So it's like a live review which is happening spot on, whereby if, let's say, today's world, if I talk about MNCs, one legal entity could have in a day 10,000 transactions as well, which is very difficult for a reviewer to review all of them.
Sure. Almost impossible,
Yes.
I would contend. So, look, managing accounts and tax, and HR, procurement, all the stuff that needs to happen in one place is difficult. An AI layer is another layer of complexity on top of that. How do you make sure that AI is accurately classifying complex tax or procurement data, whatever it is, without having to constantly intervene, manually? You've got somebody there to do that.
So what we have done is basically at every step, when you're booking the entry, there is a governance feature in that as well also, which basically, again, AI is not something whereby, you can say that, okay, It's going to do the heavy lifting for you, yes. But again, the validation part is up to you. So you need to have a little bit of knowledge set, at least to know that the outcome which you are getting is 100% accurate. Sometimes it's like, being a human being, like there are more than 30 plus IFRS and IS standards. It's not possible even for me also to remember all of them. That's where the AI supports you. But again, immediately, see, again, immediately it has to click to your mind that, okay, this is the right IFRS or IS standard which is being used. It helps you. AI assists you to make the right decision. And then it's like, at every point, whether you are filing a VAT return or a corporate income tax return or preparing the financial statements, what we have done in Humanize is we have built a forensic audit layer. So immediately it tells you that these are the correct entries. These are where you need to, look into more supporting documents. You need to put more thought whether the entries are correct or not. So it's like a control report, exceptional report, which in today's softwares we do not have that feature. Let's say, for example, I want to debit an account payable, and in error I have credit accounting depreciation, which is again a wrong entry. But you don't have any control features to stop you from booking or posting those incorrect entries. Whereas Humanize will do that. It will give you an alert immediately.
So forensic accounting, anomaly detection built in.
Yes.
From the ground up.
Yes, from the scratch.
Okay. I'm thinking about an SME who can't necessarily afford an ERP, a full-blown ERP system. And one of the biggest kind of failure points for SMEs is that internal systems collapse under that kind of manual paperwork that has to be done as they expand. How does an AI-powered ERP handle the growing pains of a business? Can the system adapt to a company that jumps from 10 employees to all of a sudden, the money comes in and there's 200 employees the next week? How does that work?
So basically, very good questions you have asked him, and this is again a lot of research work which I have done, especially when I was developing Humanize, on the scalability factor, like taking into account not just SMEs, even small business owners as well also, and the multinationals as well also from my background. And the biggest thing which I found, which you have clearly highlighted, is that, sometimes all of a sudden, business starts growing in, and, at some point, it's like a single owner, running the business by himself. He's managing the business. He's even doing the accounting, bookkeeping, filing, and everything. At certain point, now, especially in UAE, with on a daily basis, I would say, clarifications coming in from FTA, it's very difficult for a layman to understand this. And as you clearly said, then on top of that, the configuration. How do you do the configuration in the ERP system?
It's intimidating, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So the challenges are there. And then, okay, how does these changes impact my business? So the knowledge is not there. And even if they want to access subject matter specialists, it's going to be very costly for such, SMEs. Yeah. So what I've done is, in my software, in Humanize, it's like you just tell him the basic bookkeeping stuff, what your business model looks like. You don't even have to worry about the chart of account or the accounting entries. Like, for example, the feature which I have in Humanize built in is OCR plus AI. We do have OCR capabilities. It has been around there. But what the AI does is that it does the validation of the invoice. Let's say a vendor invoice. It does all the checks, whether it is as per the FTA requirements. So you don't need to be a tax knowledgeable person to know what those validation points are. That is what the heavy lifting AI will do. One more thing which I wanted to highlight is that now with e-invoicing coming in, we hear a lot of things that, businesses are taking that as an excuse to ensure that, all my issues which I have with my vendor master, with my VAT codes and everything will be resolved by e-invoicing. No. My question is that, again, the guidance has been provided by the FTA, but who is going to be following that guidance? It's going to be a human being who is going to, let's say in a day have thousands of invoices, which has to go to the FTA portal to the e-invoice mechanism. But the problem is that those VAT codes are going to be determined or fixed by the human being. Earlier, you used to have, like, we all know, like, okay, invoicing is coming over here. UE recently from 1st January 2027 is going to go live. But in other countries like Saudi, Egypt, African countries, it has been there. And the biggest challenge till to date which they are facing is the errors in the VAT codes. So what Humanize does that is that, based on the regulations and everything which is getting the knowledge on a day-to-day basis from the FTA portals and other research work as well, also it does the validations for you,
Okay.
and it immediately highlights to you that no, transaction needs to be zero rated, this needs to be standard rated, and it doesn't stop over there. It has a digital archiving system in it where it itself digitizes the invoice. It saves a soft copy for you to be used in the future. So, and it creates an audit trail. The main thing is the audit trail. So tomorrow when the tax authorities ask you, or even if I am a reviewer as well also, I want to do a sample selection checks, I can see what steps has Humanize followed, whether it has followed the guidance given by the FTA. All those checks and validations are there to take a call and present to the authorities. Safely you can demonstrate and say that I have booked my invoice properly and I have claimed the input VAT, irrespective of whether it's going into the e-invoicing portal. So it's like a validation check before it goes into the portal. I was in the process of showing to one of our technician in one of the firms, and when I showed him this step, he was like blown away. He was like, this is a miracle which I have seen. I haven't seen an OCR being used properly.
Okay, so it sounds almost too good to be true. I've got to be honest with you. So let me ask you about cost. Always an issue for particularly smaller companies, for SMEs, of course. Implementing a traditional ERP is massive capital expenditure, as you have pointed out. How does an AI native approach change the return on investment, particularly for a smaller business?
So, see, as I said, we are looking at scalability. And here it's a two-way approach. I'm also benefiting, not me, the AI in my software is benefiting from the knowledge and the learning, which again, there is data confidentiality, everything has been maintained. We do ensure that being super users, my team only has access to the data, and there is no sharing of information, all that is confidential. And what the cost which we have kept is, as compared to other softwares like QuickBooks, Zuhu, Zero, we are not even challenging the biggest ERP systems like SAP, Oracle. We are targeting to look at, how it can make a layman's life very easy, so that, he's just running the business.
Yeah.
So the cost which we have kept is very minimal, which he can afford on, as if he's running a day-to-day business. He does not even have to worry about the implementation part as well. It's like a simple login, let's say, through your Gmail account, set up the profile, answer basic questions, and we do have a support team as well also. That's it.
Okay. So, all right, I wanted to ask you about integration because, I mean, that's a key. I mean, business owners have used untold numbers of a big stack of apps, basically. Does Humanize replace everything, or is it designed to talk to existing tools that, once you're comfortable with a tool as a business, you want to keep that? You're layering things on top. But how does integration work?
So basically, let's say, for example, the common use software, let's take an example of medium-sized businesses. They use QuickBook, Zero, Zuhu. So we do have developed API keys through which we can integrate the data sets which Humanize requires, and we can pull those out. And currently, as we speak, already we are in the process of doing some demos and testing the API keys which we have developed. And this is a common question which we do get asked when we give demos to running companies. It's like one of the persons said, "How do I change wheels on a car running already on the road?" So I said, you just worry about that the car is running, and we will ensure step by step your wheels are changed automatically. You will not even feel it. And we are already in the process of doing that. Onboarding new clients is very, very simple. Especially what Humanize has the capability, again, from a scalability perspective, is that any solution which the client wants, even in a layman's term, it's his wish, we give it to him. With these legacy systems, Oracle, Zoho, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, you have a very rigid fixed structure. You cannot bring in, yes, you can do customizations, but it's going to be costly. And the changes that which we do, we don't even charge the client as well also, because that's the knowledge for us. If he asks, I want this report, it's like a genie giving you your wishes.
Okay. You should be in sales, Ian, as well. I got to tell you, this might be a silly question, and I've asked a few silly questions in my life. But if the AI is handling the classification, the real-time reporting, what does the finance and operation team still have to do?
They can focus more on, and this is again a very good question which you have asked. And I'm old school millennial, and I have learned the things the hard way, my way, I would say. Very, very difficult to find the right mentors currently in the market, and we are entering into age of Gen Zs and even Alpha Gen Zs as well also, who like to do very little work. For them, it's like everything has to be there. Why do I need to do all these configurations? Those questions will be asked. So what Humanize basically does is that, it takes all those questions into account, and it is looking at the future, what the future is going to be.
Okay. More and more. Final question for you, or final couple of questions if I can fit them in. So especially here in the UAE, tax reconciliation is it's a painful challenge.
Yes.
Let's face it. Seems to me this is an area, as long as it's checked carefully, where AI is going to really score. I mean, it's a bet that I guess, from your point of view, it's worth placing.
Yes. See, as I told you that, in UAE, tax is very new. And again, what the FTA is also looking at things from a transactional level. And it's again their right to challenge you on the data doesn't change. The data set is the same. It's like the presentation and how you are going to be demonstrating it to you. And as I said in my earlier question, which you asked is as well, there is currently no room for analysis. You are it's like a single man, a controller, let's say, for example, he's running the business, he's doing management reviews, he's ensuring that the budget is being met with the actuals, explaining variances. So the real value, where does he add, is your analytics. That he can only achieve is that when he starts looking at reconciliations. Let's say, for example, bank reconciliations, whether it ties your cash inflow, how does it tie with your sales. It's like these questions, layman questions, which the tax authorities ask you, your customs reconciliation, your goods which you have sold. So what Humanize capability has is that there is 1% manual intervention in it. 99% is automation. And it's not like, again, like people are going to be out of jobs when the AI takes over. No, it's again I would say golden age of digitizing yourself, your skill sets. The faster you can adapt to it, the more you will have time to open up your horizon to your analytical skills, which in today's world is missing.
I think that's a fair point. I've got to say, it's all the time we've got, unfortunately. AI-powered ERP. Humayun Nasir is the founder of Humanize, which is human-AI-Z, or Z, if you prefer. It's been a lot more interesting, I have to say. These topics are often quite dry, but you brought it alive. So, Humayun, good to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim,
Appreciate
for inviting me in. Appreciate it a lot.
You're very welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, your daily guide to the markets, money, and more. Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk.
Mira Business FM, the morning drive. Property Now. Mario Volpe is senior manager at Eva Real Estate these days in his new role, but he's really more of a real estate expert, and he's with me.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. It's nice to see you. We've been discussing offline a number of things, so it's very strictly real estate now.
Yes.
Where would you? Do you know? I'd like to start with the Smart Retail Index. There was a story.
Smart Rental Index.
Smart Rental Index. What did I say? Retail.
Retail. Yeah.
Oh, it was almost.
No, it needed to be corrected.
Close. Just a couple of letters that went astray there.
Well, one exists and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we could start something here. Oh, this has gone so well so far.
Good morning.
Nice to see you, Mario. So this is a story in the papers yesterday. This was Khalees Times. And the headline was, Dubai Smart Rental Index empowers tenants as the market softens. Two things in that: empowering tenants, good thing, so we'll get into that in a minute, but market softening was the other thing that stood out. So my immediate question for you is, market is softer?
Yeah, well, we always knew that the market for rents was going to soften anyway, and I think the sort of confusion or situation that we found ourselves in the last sort of 90, 100 days has just accelerated that. So the one thing that struck me from this particular article was the fact that in a rising market, the Smart Rental Index, or the rent calculator as it was called before, definitely came into play, because tenants would hold it dear to their hearts, purely and simply because it would then limit the number or the amount or the percentage amount that a landlord could raise the rent by at renewal. Yeah. But it kind of struck me as being, well, I guess a little bit lame would be the expression, because in a declining market, tenants don't really look at the rental calculator, the Smart Rental Index. At least I don't think they do. They tend to look at market. They tend to look at the market and the market prices, which they shouldn't do, because landlords are not allowed to do that in a rising market. So why should tenants be allowed in a declining market? But they do. So that being the case, they can go to the rental index, obviously, and if the rental index says no increase, let's say, at renewal, but if they look online and see a similar property cheaper, they still have that choice, if you like, to then just effectively give notice and then leave. So the Smart Rental Index, in my opinion, from a renewal point of view in a declining market, whilst it's much, much, much more up to date now than it used to be, because it only used to be updated, well, once a year, then it was kind of quarterly, every half year. They kept changing it, but it wasn't as up to date as it kind of is now. So in theory, it should follow what the market is doing, but it always lags behind. So all I'm saying is that in a declining market, tenants probably tend to look at it less than they would in a rising market, obviously, because then they just can give market forces and say to an owner, well, look, there is one down the corridor that's on at X, and if you factor in obviously removal costs and real estate agents' fees, if after taking those into consideration, it still makes sense, tenants would just move out unless a landlord will obviously come down. Yeah. But what I'm finding now, and I'm actually in the mix of this myself, is that there's a bit of an impasse, because rents are definitely coming down, right? And there are, dare I say, less new tenants coming into the fray because of what happened. It remains to be seen exactly what sort of population numbers are. They don't come out that often, but they were definitely on the rise towards the latter part of last year. So with kind of less people around, tenants are perhaps more in the driving seat than landlords would want them to be. And I'm talking about new and perhaps renewal notices now. So when I'm looking online, I'm seeing prices definitely dropping, but I also see a lot of these landlords who still have this idea that their property is worth X, Y, Z, and are not coming down. And all that's going to do is that their property will either just stay on the market for a much, much longer period, or once they've realised, actually, you know what, there aren't that many people, or there's not as many people, they're not going to get away with it, so they'll have to look at their prices. So yeah, this is a story really more about the fact that rents are on the move. The smart rental index is a massive improvement to what it was a few years ago, because it covers the rating system of a building, it covers the facilities, and whereas before it was just the average of all the same units, but only from a bedroom perspective, not facilities and amenities as well. So it's much more up to date.
I mean, it's a benchmark now, isn't it? Because building classification directly determines what a landlord can charge, right? So effectively you can penalise poorly maintained properties.
Exactly.
Now, which is something that's new. Apartment rents are showing clear signs of cooling, right? Villa rents are higher year on year, in most cases. How should tenants in the villa segment use the index to their advantage when the supply isn't anything like as abundant as it is in the apartments?
Well, obviously, like I say, it's more up to date. So I suppose the first thing to do is to go online and actually check out what the smart rental index actually states is permissible at renewal. But nowadays, landlords will just follow what the rental index actually states. So if it states an increase, then there's not much actually a tenant can do, other than, I guess, if they have a good relationship, you can always try and work out something if it's if the rent has gone up. But I don't think any rents, even villa rents, will have gone up substantially higher, because the mood is that rents are definitely coming down. The villa rents are not following the same suit as apartments, purely and simply because there's less of them. But like anything, if there are obviously exceptions, but if we take the average, there's quite a lot of money when you're having to spend between 250, 300, 350, and sometimes even 400,000 dirhams a year. That's a big chunk of change. So I think landlords also need to factor in that if the tenant is what I call a quality tenant, they add value to the property as well. So it's not just about price. And how are you a quality tenant? And especially if you're new, you can get previous landlord references, you can get employer references, bank references, and of course you can check at the rent committee whether there's been any cases against either individual, whether landlord or tenant. And so from that point of view, the fact that you're not on there shows that you've never had any issues, which is also a reference in itself. And actually, because I'm looking myself at the moment to change apartments, and I offered the agent a previous landlord's reference, which, I mean, he looked at me as if I was speaking Chinese, but to me it's really important, because I do believe, and I can only speak for myself, that I do add value to a property because of how I live and how I set up the place. And so it always looks better when I leave than when I first move in, if I can put it that way. I know that sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet, but I have a wife with very good taste, let's put it that way. So she helps me.
You've got to have respect for where you live, don't you? Because that's respect for yourself, and it's also respect for your landlord. I mean, and as you've said many, many times, that landlord-tenant relationship is an important thing to nurture, to look after.
But it's hard at the beginning, and when I used to speak about that, I came from a position where the landlord and I had been together for so many years, and it was very easy to say. Now that, if you like, I'm kind of looking again, so all the landlords are new. They don't know who Mario is. They don't know that actually, yes, it has been shown that I have added value in how I've presented, and especially when they then market the property with kind of my furniture and what have you, whereas before, it just looked bang average type of thing. They don't know that because it takes time. But one particular landlord, I insisted on sort of meeting, and he's in Brazil at the moment. And we did a Zoom call. And again, this is what I would urge anybody to do, if possible, because it's easier said than done. Sometimes you've got management companies, very overzealous agents. There's no way that a tenant could possibly even talk to the landlord, let alone have a Zoom call with him. And that's such a shame, because I think if you can at least, dare I say, see the whites of the eyes of the individual, where they're coming from, and especially how they come across, and you can gauge very much whether this person is going to, dare I say, look after my property if you're a landlord, or vice versa. Is this landlord going to help me out in times of need when actually, I've got an issue with, I don't know, some leak somewhere or something, or the AC doesn't work? Will they act responsibly and quickly, So it's all new for everyone. So again, easier said than done, Mario. But I think you have ways of trying somehow to put yourself in that shop front in some respects.
I mean, it's not the norm here, is it, that you present references?
It's not. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think this agent's kind of looked at me as if I'd spoken Chinese, because to me, it was.
I love the idea of you speaking Chinese. Sorry, that's in my head.
I only know ni hao. I wanted, obviously, to dare I say, portray what I thought was the right thing to do, but it was completely batted away. No need, because here they're still ingrained with, if you can pay in one check. God forbid you ask for 12 checks. It's as if, again, you're asking for the impossible. And it's just because it's so ingrained. Just this morning, I received, actually, I was waiting in the green room. I was waiting, and I got a message from an agent who sent me pictures. And the first thing is, the landlord wants one check. Well, of course, the landlord wants one check, because then it doesn't matter. I could be an axe murderer or something. It doesn't matter. I've paid my money. They don't care what you get up to. And
one check is reference enough, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
And honestly, they basically then don't care what happens until the time that you hand it back, which of course you then have to hand it back in the manner that it was given to you. Yeah. Some people say less wear and tear. I always think that's a bit of an anomaly, because honestly, most landlords will insist upon having the property painted and cleaned, just like it was in theory when it was given to you. Of course, if it's not painted and cleaned when it's given to you, then of course you can give it back in the same condition, as I said. But they're quite strict, which is also why it's difficult. We don't have inventory checks, especially on fully furnished apartments, because they expect it to be given back as it was given. But if you don't have documented proof, scratches or damage to furniture, etc. So my advice there is, take pictures of anything when you first move into a property, even if there isn't a specific inventory check. You've then got date stamped proof that wasn't there, type of thing. When a landlord says, "Oh, what's this? It's coming out of your deposit."
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So that's one story. That was, I think it was Khaleej Times yesterday. But it's just interesting. But the headline.
But you're going to hear more of it.
Well, I think so. This is a story that's going to run, isn't it?
Well, yes, and of course the summer being upon us, or close to us, I think will exacerbate that, because summers tend to be a little bit quieter. Although I've got a bit of prediction from a sales point of view.
Here we go.
I think this summer is not going to be as quiet as we think. Everybody's talking now about the MOU between Iran and the US. When actually, really, all that is they've kicked the can down the road and given themselves a platform, a framework to discuss about signing a document.
Well, it's the start of talks.
So, but already I'm starting to hear some owners saying, that we're, 100% we're at peace, everything's sorted. I think it's more hope than anything else, because these things do take time. Yeah. But that sentiment will mean that a lot of these sellers might start digging their heels in a little bit more, And so my advice would be to anybody looking to buy is to get in as quickly as you can. And I know that, again, here's the agent saying, get in and buy now, of course, breaking news. But honestly, I do think that later on this year, you are definitely going to see prices go up in the off-plan market.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is purely and simply down to the construction costs, which have increased considerably. Steel, glass, blocks, concrete, cement, everything has gone up considerably. And I don't believe for 1 minute that the developers will actually absorb that. If they do, it will only be a very small amount. They might start to pass some on to contractors, but it'll be the consumer that will take the brunt of that. So later this year, I would say probably more sooner rather than later, you will start to see prices go up in the off-plan market. And when that happens, secondary market tends to follow suit. So it's going to be a bit of a confused second half of the year, because in theory, we should be, stabilizing after a period of downturn. But I've always said that Dubai bounces back quickly. And this would be a very easy excuse for people to actually put prices up. So that's why I'm saying that window of opportunity for buyers, especially in the off-plan market, is actually now. We don't know when that opportunity is going to close, and when it does, it often does quickly. And you never know when you've passed that sort of equilibrium point, or when you're going through that equilibrium point to the other end. So that's why I'm just mentioning that I think this summer is going to be relatively busy, where people realizing they might have missed the boat, because you should buy in a downturn. That's when you should buy.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? I guess if we're using that word bounce back ability, which we seem to be using here, there is naturally going to be, after a period of uncertainty where we've not much has been able to happen. Let's face it. There's a period of catch up that's going to happen, isn't there?
But absolutely. But the other reason I'm saying all this is I would say up until about a week, possibly 2 weeks ago, you can say from that period going backwards, obviously towards the beginning of the conflict, developers just shut up shop, obviously. Yeah. We didn't hear from them, we didn't see them. But in the last couple of weeks, I have now started to see a lot more developers reach out to us, wanting to do presentations, to tell us about their summer offers, to go through their availability, because they still have a lot of inventory, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is they are definitely starting to move. And they're not going to use the summer just to still chillax. They will actually start moving. And I think, I've always said, watch what developers do, because that's a great barometer of what's going to happen to the market. And if they're now starting to, dare I say, wake up from their hibernation, which, let's face it, wasn't that a longer period, to be fair. 3 months, let's say, just over. I thought actually they would be sort of keeping their head down for a lot longer, but they're not, and they're starting to come back, and the offers are still there. That's the other thing. So factor in, offers are there, prices haven't gone up yet because of the construction's costs, which are coming. So that I'm saying is the best really time to grab that opportunity, because I'm sure that towards the end of the year we'll look back at this sort of early summer period and think, yeah, that was the point when really, and I'm talking about people who are not necessarily sort of just sitting on the fence, not sure. I'm talking about the ones that are sure, but they're waiting, and that's all that's happening. They're waiting. Don't wait too much, because that window of opportunity will close.
Yeah, what you waiting for? Well, let's keep the growth story going then, because there is a new report out from Cavendish Maxwell Property Consultancy. We're talking to them this morning, actually, after in an hour or two. But here's the bones of it. Nearly 290,000 residential rental contracts registered in Sharjah 2025, up from 278,000 the year before. So total rental activity, including commercial leases, 368,500 contracts, up 4.4%. It's very much family-centred, but a relatively strong growth phase is how this is being built.
Yeah, but again, they're talking about last year's figures.
Yeah.
So actually, everybody was going up last year. So again, this particular story did not surprise me, although I think the timing was a little bit weird, because there we are just a few moments ago talking about the rental price, the smart rental index indicating that prices are coming down, and here we have a story saying that prices are going up in Sharjah. Well, one of the reasons why prices go up is because of the demand, clearly. And because last year we had a lot of demand, obviously, in Dubai, and prices were rising, quite a bit there, people then just naturally gravitate to other areas. Where can I move to that isn't going to take pretty much all my salary, just from a living cost point of view? And so a lot of people from Dubai, depending on the years, rising market, declining market, there is this shift from Dubai to Sharjah, and then all of a sudden from Sharjah back to Dubai when prices then come down. So this migration backwards and forwards is a very common theme to the movement of tenants, if I can put it that way. Sharjah prices, from memory, are anything between sort of 25-30% cheaper anyway than Dubai. So clearly that
tends to be the range.
Yeah. Excuse me. So that always attracts the person to move there. However, until such time as they get the sort of commuting part right, and by that I mean better road connectivity. I know they've increased. They've widened roads. They've made better infrastructure. But nobody wants to sit in traffic for 4 hours, 2 hours getting to work and perhaps 2 hours coming back. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit now, but definitely that's what it used to be. But even an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, it's not pleasurable. And then you've got the other side of the coin, people that actually live in Ajman, who are even cheaper. Again, the rents there are even cheaper. Have to get to Sharjah and then into Dubai, but all this should get better with, as I say, maybe Etihad Rail, or assuming it stops at lots of places, and in time, I suppose, metros. Today that there isn't one, obviously, into Sharjah, but I don't see why not. But rents always are better in Sharjah, and so I'm not surprised that I'm seeing this migration again. But actually, with rents now starting to come down in Dubai, perhaps not the up-to-date headline would be that people in Dubai are negotiating in Dubai rather than necessarily looking in Sharjah. So I kind of disagree a little bit with the timing of this headline. But of course, rents are definitely cheaper, and people will all look to get better value. Yeah,
that's right. And I mean, there are road improvements being made, and the relative benefits of Etihad Rail, that's going to have a bearing on things as well. We're going to talk to Ali Siddiqui. He's the research manager at Cavendish Maxwell. He's behind the report. He's coming in this morning, so we'll get the details and see exactly what's being said. Another story. This was golf news on, I think this was at the weekend. Actually, it was. I think it's Saturday. Branded residences, what they are and why UAE buyers pay a premium. The thing here is, we know branded residences, what's the phrase I was going to use? They go a bomb.
Yeah, well, they work here.
They work well.
I don't remember the actual statistic, but at one stage, I think Dubai had, or certainly the UAE had, something like two-thirds of the world's branded residences under construction. And yeah, look, are we all slaves to our brands, to our labels? Maybe we are. And the perception is, obviously, a branded residence will come across as resonating with the individual, plus also perhaps a higher level in terms of quality.
Yeah, well, let me ask you. I mean, you're a Chelsea Football Club fan, right? And there is a Chelsea branded residence here. Doesn't matter who developed it, but just looking at that as a Chelsea fan, and you run the Chelsea fan club.
Yes.
Okay, so you're blue through and through, Mario Volpe.
Correct.
But what did you think when you saw that initially?
When it first was announced, I mean, obviously I was thinking, wow, because I saw the brochure, I saw all the renders and everything.
Yeah.
It literally, for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But I also thought that it was very brave because football is tribal, as we've discussed before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ingrained in us from an early age, from birth in some respects, and you tend to follow, not always, the team of your family. And sometimes there's internal rivalry. Like my family in Italy, my mother's side followed Juventus, whereas my grandmother was a staunch Torino fan. And so her son, my uncle, fell on the Torino side, whereas my mother, her daughter, went the other way. Now, I don't know whether it's just to create a bit of havoc in families, why, you have Tottenham and Arsenal fans and Man City and Man United fans type of thing, in families. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is it's very tribal. So when it first came across, I thought that's brave. Obviously, I'm going to say Chelsea is the best club in the world. Chelsea's champions of the world, which we are for another 3 years and 1 month.
You're not even shoehorning that
No,
anymore,
I'm not,
right? It's
because
just
in July it will be 1 year that we were champions of the world. I was talking to an Arsenal fan the other day, and he was just saying it's a Tim Pot trophy. And I'm thinking, you would give your right arm to be able to say you are world champion. So I'm not having it. So next month it'll be 1 year down, 3 to go, where we can still sing that we are champions of the world. But anyway,
are you going to celebrate? Have a little celebration?
We might. I might have a. No, I don't need an excuse to celebrate Chelsea.
No, I've noticed.
But yes. Why I say it was brave is because, arguably, there are bigger clubs in the world. Yeah. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, perhaps Liverpool. I know Liverpool have followed very much in Asia, and so I thought for Damac, which is the company, to actually pick Chelsea. I thought on paper it was brave because not everybody is going to want to buy that property. Yeah. The neutrals may or may not go for, obviously, the facilities, the location, the size, etc. But if one is a staunch, I don't know, Manchester United fan, he wouldn't be seen dead going there, or certainly buying it. So that's what I mean when I say I thought they were brave. But then when I look at what Damac has done, they were the pioneers in a lot of things. They were one of the first companies to give away sort of cars by buying a property. Have this car. I'm going back years and years and years.
That was a very early promotion. That was
it was, yeah. And a lot of developers have followed suit. We can talk about Danube being the pioneers of the 1% payment plans, so that they've done that very well. But Damac, they find a brand and they stick with it. And for me, they went with Chelsea. Obviously, we then went on to become world champions. They were the front of shirt sponsors of Chelsea for 4 games only, prior to us actually winning the Conference League Cup, which is, a lot of people say it's terrible. It's the lowest form of the European trophy. But having won that, now Chelsea can actually say they're the only team in the whole world that has won every single trophy that you can win. In terms of their confederation. Obviously, they're European, so we can't talk about South American Cups and things like that. But so that is another chant that we sing. We've won it all. And I spoke to this Arsenal fan. He goes, I wouldn't want to win the Conference League. And I'm thinking, that's nonsense. It's a European trophy.
You would.
I think West Ham won it, didn't they?
We certainly did.
Before you. Before us, exactly. And I think Roma, through Mourinho, tried to win it, but they couldn't. Well, they didn't. If I remember rightly, he didn't win it. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that they have now, and I'm talking about Damac, pivoted although they've still got the Chelsea residences from a real estate point of view,
Yep.
and they're pushing the second phase now, by the way, because it's actually all on social media, and they've got the likes of Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and one other sort of pushing the adverts. Now they have pivoted to another world best, and that is Red Bull. They now sponsor Formula One, which is the first time a company has sponsored a Formula One team. I'm talking about the first time as in a real estate company here in Dubai. So they did Chelsea, have done, still have an association, but kind of done that, got the T-shirt, ticked that box. They've now moved on to Red Bull Racing, which obviously Max Verstappen and the second driver is Sharjah. And what they have is that they're on the collar. They've got Damak written on the collar, and they've got it all on the car. And I was watching the Grand Prix on Sunday, and they zoomed in on Max Verstappen in the car with his helmet on, and all you could see was Damak. So again, amazing marketing, and obviously a lot of money. But what I'm trying to put as a point across is they pick winners. They pick the creme de la creme. Now, you could be a Lewis Hamilton fan. I am now because I'm a Ferrari fan, or whatever. But you cannot get away with the fact that Max Verstappen is a winner. And for now that particular company to associate itself, they know what they're doing. Their marketing is really, really good. So I know that's a lot of words and a lot of waffle, because I do tend to waffle. I do apologise to the listeners.
Don't waffle.
You asked me a question about Chelsea residences.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, I thought it was brave because it doesn't appeal to everybody because football is tribal. But the fact that Damak, in this case, have chosen Chelsea out of all the others that they could have gone for shows either that some people will say they're stupid, obviously, because they picked Chelsea. I would say they're forerunners, front runners, and picking proven winners, and hope that brand will then get people to come and have a look, and then see the quality of the building and its location. It's actually in Maritime City as well, and the design is great. But obviously, like I say, it's not for everyone. But then we don't want it to be. We only want it to be for the elite buyer.
Well, this is the point of branded residences, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not for everyone, and it's you almost join a kind of it's almost an elite club,
like a club cult.
It is. I mean, there's a line there somewhere, but we're seeing this sort of shift from people choosing homes based, location, and then price, to does this fit my lifestyle? And that, I think, is quite a big shift. So if you were looking at maybe relocating to Dubai and you were thinking that's going to be my permanent base, rather than looking at a speculative asset, there are many people that would lean towards a branded residence because it resonates, that word again,
Yeah, exactly.
with them in some way.
I think if we go back to the Chelsea residences, I think it's more from an end user point of view rather than an investment, buying it to rent it out.
Yeah.
There will be people that have bought them purely and simply to rent them out. I get that, but I think this whole the concept is pointing towards end users, and that's why I think you've got to resonate with that brand to then want to live there. And you use the word lifestyle. Lifestyle definitely seems to be something on the lips of the developers more and more, because everybody's always trying to outdo each other, and whether it's on size, price, location, design, branded residences or not. But the lifestyle and what it makes you feel to live in a certain project, or how you are treated in a certain area, or by the management, will determine how happy you are. Because ultimately, we all want to be happy in our homes. It is the sanctuary, and so that lifestyle, whether it comes from better gyms, better communities, greener spaces, water, whatever it offers, the more it offers, the more people will then resonate towards it. And actually now we've got some developers who they're proud that they're offering something like 40, 50, 60 different amenities in either one tower development or a development perhaps with 2 or 3 towers. I mean, to have 50 or 60 amenities, I mean, it's like a menu, just to see exactly what it is to offer. Obviously, everything isn't always free. Sometimes you do have these sort of a la carte services. But generally speaking, gone are the days of a pool and a gym.
Which was always a pretty good benefit as far as...
Of course it is.
I mean, if I was... I'm from just outside of London. I've lived in London. If I had a pool and a gym in where I lived in London, I'd be flying high.
No, absolutely. Well, a pool and a gym in London now is creme de la creme.
Exactly.
But now we've got Pilates studios, we've got paddle courts. Forget tennis now. Yoga area, outdoor cinemas, kids playing areas, Zen gardens. I mean, the list is endless.
Pickleball.
Pickleball, yes, yeah, that one.
Can you play that on a paddle court?
No,
you can't.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Cycle trails, walking trails, jogging trails, shaded areas, air-conditioned areas. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And honestly, I think podcast studios is another one that I'm thinking of. Seriously, they have, Rove, which is another developer, a branded residence, part of the developers we called Earth, IRTH. Right. There's a plot next to Marina Mall, which is going to be a residential tower, studios, 1 beds, 2 beds, and I think 3 beds as well. So great for the holiday home market because you are walking distance to JBR and therefore the beach, right next door to Marina Mall. And you've got the marina behind. I mean, they were going to have, I understand, like not just a Waitrose, but a little Waitrose. And don't forget, you've got Waitrose in Marina Mall. You've got big Waitrose next door and little Waitrose downstairs. But that just goes to show you don't even have to leave your building. You come downstairs, you've got your podcast room, you've got your lounge, you've got your business centre, and all those things that we discuss, and even a little Waitrose. So it's about convenience. Here we are, Amazon at noon offering deliveries in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The other day I pressed the wrong button and I got something delivered in 15 minutes. I was blown away. I didn't need it in 15 minutes. And I then started to think, my goodness, have I paid extra for this? What have you? And I'm thinking these poor so-and-sos who have to literally scrabble around on the shelves to find whatever it is I've ordered, to put it in the back of a moped, which is literally, they have all these sort of centers scattered around. That's how they can do it, So the concept is amazing, but that's the kind of lifestyle where we seem to be used to here in Dubai. You can call up Carrefour downstairs and ask them to deliver you a Mars bar. Where just go down and get it, But that's the lifestyle that we have. So that's why all these developers are now ensuring that they're giving everybody just even more than they want. So that's why I said gone are the days of just a pool and a gym.
I know. Lifestyle it's that thing. I have to get to grips with it, but I still sort of think, I don't know. If I can afford it, it's fine. There are some questions coming in for you, Mario, today.
Thank you.
Jess, this is a nice thing to say as well. Mario, you are always enlightening to listen to.
Oh, even when I'm talking about Chelsea and football?
Not so much.
That's more you talking than Jess, isn't it?
That's not Jess. Sorry if I miss your podcast with Tim at times, but I always listen to your property podcast, the Dubai Property Podcast that you do. For my question, why are people talking about price and rent increases? Shouldn't prices go down to attract people to come back to Dubai? I guess Jess is talking about the Sharjah story.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to highlight the fact that whilst it's important information, but data is always retrospective. It's always, we're talking today about data that happened, dare I say, yesterday or in the past. And that's why I wanted to say that the report is important, but it talks about what happened in 2025 rather than necessarily what's happening today, because I don't believe right now we've got this migration of people. There will be the odd one or two who are moving from Dubai to Sharjah because the rents are cheaper there. There might be an element of that, like I say, but generally speaking, prices are coming down here in Dubai on rents, and so tenants are looking for good deals here as well.
Okay, there you go, Jess. Always enlightening to listen to. I shouldn't have even repeated
That's
that.
nice.
But I mean, that's a very nice thing to say. This is the best name we've had ever write to us.
Are you sure? We've had some good names.
You're going to like this. Cheese Monster.
Okay, well, that's not a real name, obviously, but
No,
but
I mean,
it's a good nickname.
It's a great nickname.
I'm a bit of a cheese monster as well.
Yeah, well, that's been said. I listened to your an old episode yesterday. You were talking about Jumeirah Garden City, Satwa, in Old Money.
Yeah.
Do you think it's still good despite everything that's happened in the past few months? Is that a good place to be?
I mean,
I would say yes.
and I would agree. I mean, I'm just trying to analyse despite what's happened in the last few months. I mean, all that's happened in the last few months is that the market has paused. Is that people have sat on their hands a little bit, and when there is confusion, people hesitate. When there is certainty, the market moves. And I'm not saying we have certainty now, but definitely we've taken a major step forward towards certainty. And I look forward to that moment when we can, dare I say, all breathe a sigh of relief in the knowledge that Dubai, sooner or later will obviously bounce back. So the straight answer is yes. I mean, that area hasn't changed since the conflict. The Dubai Loop is still going to be there. It's still serviced by 2 or 3 metro stations. The DIFC expansion is still taking place. Grade A commercial properties are still rising in value because of their scarcity and their quality. And it hasn't moved. It's still close enough to the sea and still close enough, obviously, to Sheikh Zayed Road. So everything is still the same. So yes would be my answer to that, just like yours is.
Oh, Jumeirah Garden City. Satwa, I don't know. I just always loved it there. To me, it's real old school Dubai. There's a bit of new school in there now, of course. But Luella sends you a message, Mario. Long stays in hotels is the crux of this. I'm staying in a hotel on a long-term basis. Do you think prices will increase in the cooler months? I suppose later this year. For long stays,
as in
hotel residences.
Hotel residences. Yeah. Yes, that always happens. And actually, I can say that we saw a lot of softening of prices from hotels, especially due to offers. But a lot of those offers, they're not around anymore. Despite the fact that the summer is coming and it's going to get even hotter. So I'm not sure how many people actually will come to Dubai in the heat, but there will always be those people that look for bargains. So the summer months always tend to be quieter and therefore the time where prices are lower. But I guarantee you the prices will definitely rise, from, dare I say, mid to late October onwards, and obviously into Christmas. And even now, try and find a staycation where before, I think they were offering something like 400 dirhams, 300 dirhams for a night stay in some of these hotels, and you could redeem the whole of that money back on F&B. Yeah. So effectively, they were saying you can stay for free.
Stay for free, yeah.
You can't find anything like that. And actually, even Riva on West Palm, where you go, it was something like you pay 80 dirhams. So actually, it's 90 dirhams. You pay 80 dirhams for your umbrella and your table, plus 10% like knowledge fee. They keep the 10 dirhams. That 80 or 90 dirhams, whatever you paid, you can then obviously redeem it. But now that price has also gone up. So even just staying on a beach, forget hotel stays, has actually gone up, and only a portion of that money you can now redeem, whereas before you could redeem the whole lot. So yes, prices are definitely going to go up in the cooler months.
Yeah, it seems that way. Final question for you. We'll do this one. This is Terence with 2 R's. Like my father. I'm planning to move to Sharjah because of cheaper rent, but I've read an article about rent increases due to demand. I'm worried we may face big increases after some time once we move. Your thoughts on Sharjah's outlook?
Well, I mean, obviously, from a market point of view, they are what they are. But I can tell you they've got one of the fairest rental or tenant-friendly laws. So, you know, a landlord cannot raise the rent. I think it's for
3 years.
is it 3 years? I thought it was 2 or 3 years. They can't raise the rent for 3 years straight away.
Yeah.
And then after the third year, they're saying sort of reasonable market prices. So whilst they don't have the smart rental index as such, it's still, you know, you rent somewhere for the next 3 years, it's going to be the same. So you can budget on that. So as long as you can afford it in the first time, you can budget it out. Look, you know, if more people do migrate from Dubai to Sharjah, prices naturally will go up because of supply and demand. However, like I said before, prices are sort of 20, 25, 30% cheaper anyway. That will continue to be the case. So, you know, it might go up a little bit from the point of view of market forces, but it's not going to be competing. I don't believe it will ever compete with Dubai because it just doesn't have the same offerings. So I think Terence is going to be okay.
Do you know what? We didn't get to most of the stories we wanted to cover today, but
because we started late.
we did well, yeah. I just blame other people. That's how it works. Mario Volpe he's like a property man around town. You write for The National, you do the Dubai Property Podcast, you do this, you are a senior guy at Eva Real Estate. You just
I'm a senior guy everywhere, not just at Eva Real Estate. I don't morph into a younger person in my spare time.
Wouldn't that be great if you did? You got home and off came.
Wouldn't that? I could be the senior guy at Eva, right?
Yes.
And I could be, you know, a 30-year-old again at the weekends.
Yeah, stay up late, watch Chelsea.
But I would get into so much trouble.
Yeah, I
so
know.
probably best not to.
Best to stay where you are. Mario Volpe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk.
This is the Morning Drive. It is Mira Business FM. Luxury travel now, and demand from the Gulf surging, unsurprisingly, because the backdrop is obviously the 2026 FIFA World Cup at the moment. Private aviation company and their digital marketplace, EXO, are reporting a 145% rise in multi-city travel inquiries across the US, Canada and Mexico, where the World Cup is. Travelers from Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar, increasingly, therefore, combining football, business and family travel into longer North American itineraries. We're going to look at the details of this now. Yusuf Muallim is the Chief Business Officer at Vista, joins me in the studio. Good to see you.
Good morning, Tim, and thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. So that's a pretty encouraging increase, 145%. It's a kind of staggering figure, I think. If you add in World Cup fever at this point in time, it kind of suggests that the one destination trip is almost a thing of the past for the luxury traveler.
Yeah, I think we can say that is an emerging trend.
Yeah.
And we've seen that around the football tournament currently, but we've been seeing this trend emerge over the last couple of years, where people are combining business with luxury travel, with sporting events. But speaking specifically about the football tournament taking place now, we've seen this massive increase in demand for multi-city. So we're seeing GCC customers looking at trips to North America, starting from Canada, US, and Mexico, to attend some of these events. But also we're seeing an increase in trip duration, which suggests that people are actually using this sporting event as a cornerstone for bigger trips and longer travel.
I was going to ask you that, if people are looking at longer stays, so they are looking at substantially longer.
So definitely people are looking at longer stay. Also, what we're seeing is about a 13% increase in trip length. Yeah.
Really?
Which suggests that people kind of do a little bit of sporting, some travel, visiting different destinations on the continent,
some family
and probably
stuff,
some family stuff and some business meetings. Yeah.
Okay.
And I said that's a trend that we've been observing over the last couple of years in Southeast Asia, in Europe, in North America, where we're seeing business travelers extending their stays and latching on maybe a family weekend at the front end or the back end, or going and exploring new cities, not just business meetings.
Okay, so how much demand are you seeing from this region, from Saudi, the UAE, from Qatar, from Bahrain?
Yeah, so we're seeing an increase across the whole GCC, but three most kind of pronounced increases we're seeing are from UAE, Saudi, and Qatar.
Right.
And for these three cities, we've seen a 5% increase in overall demand versus what we've seen previously. And namely, we're seeing so far, we've seen a lot of increase and interest into Toronto and into Miami because of the Qatar opening game in Toronto and Saudi's opening game in Miami.
Makes sense.
And we congratulate both teams on their great performance in the opening games. I look forward to seeing them progress through
Qatar particularly. That's a tremendous result, I think.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah. So travellers from the UAE, from Saudi, from Qatar, kind of blending football and business meetings and family. So longer, kind of single long duration trips, I suppose, really. Is this about convenience? Is it a sign that travellers, regional travellers, want a mobile office lifestyle, even when they're supposed to be on holiday?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're seeing this change in behavior as well.
Right.
I think on our previous discussion we touched on, we're seeing this kind of global working space evolution with our customer base, where they want to work from wherever they are, whether they are on the airplane, and our fleet does offer this facility, or whether they are at their holiday home, they need to kind of get in a couple of days of work, or whether they're at their office and they want to blend some leisure and some luxury time. We're seeing the same behavior, but it's amplified by this global sporting event. So that is like the centerpiece, but it's the same behavior. And what we see as well is this need for flexibility and last minute kind of setting the plans. GCC travelers predominantly like to book their trips late or closer to the trip time. That's an observed behavior that we have. And the private jet industry lends itself to this kind of behavior because you'll organize the trip around your needs. You're not bound to a fixed schedule, to a fixed routing, to a fixed trip time. And we're seeing that really kind of come to surface in this occasion, in this summer.
No, I mean, that makes sense. It's just not in my world, you know. Can you just fill the plane? And that's a different world for me. So, I mean, the thing is, if you manage like a multi-city tour, and you're looking at 3 countries, and that's a huge area, US, Canada, and Mexico. In the case of this World Cup, logistically, that is a nightmare for commercial travelers. So your point's well made. But how much of this surge is driven by just that necessity of private aviation to make the fact that you can do it, you can make these complex kind of itineraries even possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I think there are 2 key elements that come to play there. One is the nature of the industry, and that's where private aviation really lends itself to being an enabler for complex trips and saving time or giving you time back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's one of the key strengths of the XO global marketplace. The technology that we've got allows us to have more than 2,000 aircrafts globally that are onto our system. We're plugged into the schedule, so we know at pretty much every second where are these aircrafts, are they available, are they not?
Right.
And through this integration with these partners, with these operators, beyond the VistaJet fleet, we have agreed pricing and pricing algorithms, so we can instantaneously tell our customers, hey, I want to fly from, let's say, Qatar to Toronto to Miami to Mexico City and back. While right there and then on your phone, you could pretty much look up the itinerary and we'll tell you what are your best options. You can book it right there and then. And then if you need to change, we offer the flexibility for you to adapt and change your routing or your trip timing.
Right.
Or if you want to wait until, let's say, the knockout, mainly in the knockout period, you want to wait to see who's qualifying, where's the next game at, to lock your travel plans.
I was going to say that.
Then
I mean, yeah.
That technology and our marketplace offers you that optionality.
Yeah, I mean, who knows where your team's going to be?
Yeah.
So flexibility is the ultimate, I guess, with you. You're expecting a spike once we get to the knockout stages, I guess?
We believe there will be one. That's what we've seen previously with the Qatar World Cup, which kind of was a great legacy to our industry as well. We saw a great surge in activity, and we'll continue to monitor how this evolves, and we wish the teams from the region to make it all the way. So
we've seen the host cities at the moment. You've seen Miami has done well, Toronto for obvious reasons. Yeah. What other places are attracting the strongest interest from Gulf travelers?
I think so far, Toronto and Miami have been the stellar standouts.
Sure.
Again, for the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see also demand peak across the other host cities. But that's like a live situation. So we'll continue monitoring and see how that evolves. And again, I'll go back to the strength of our business model and our offering. The fact that we've got accessibility to availability of aircrafts all the time across the globe allows us to flex as the situation evolves. So if there is a surge into LA, we can pretty much instantaneously figure out who are the best positioned available aircrafts to support that demand into LA, and then offer these options to our customers at transparent prices so that they can lock their trips or plan their trips accordingly.
And you're looking to that final in New Jersey in sort of 4.5-5 weeks time, aren't you, I guess?
Yeah.
We're not just talking about fans, football fans. We're talking about business leaders, I guess, who happen to be fans as well. And it's, it's a bucket list. It's a tick in the bucket list box, isn't it? Yeah. So this is a massive economic window for North America. Are you seeing a correlation between these travel patterns and specific industry sectors? Are we looking at a business-first approach where the World Cup's kind of a backdrop almost?
Yeah. Well, I would say we're seeing both sides of the coin, Tim. So for some, as you said, it's a bucket list. So it's like, I want to make it to the football tournament, and I'll find some business engagement around that to kind of justify it for yourself to get out there.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah. But equally, we've got a lot of business travel that we're seeing is being stretched to say, well, while we're there and we're doing business, it's a great opportunity that the timing is matching and staying back for this. And we're seeing that not only with the football tournaments this summer, we're seeing that with other major sporting events, with boxing, with Formula One in Monaco a couple of weeks back, with NBA. So it's an evolving pattern and evolving behavior in terms of luxury travel combined with business travel.
Okay. To what extent do you think, Yusuf, the demand, this kind of trend that you're seeing now, will sustain itself post 2026? Is the World Cup like a one-off, a special event that's fundamentally, is it resetting expectations of travelers in this region, do you think?
So I'll go back to the Qatar World Cup, Tim. We've seen this surge in the Qatar World Cup, and obviously these events, they present peaks around them. But we're seeing this crescendo of kind of build-up where this behavior is continuing to build up and to increase.
Okay.
So I don't think we'll see a total reset. Obviously, activity will drop post the 7-week period, but I think as a base, we'll look at a base that'll going to be higher than what we've seen last year, and expect next year it'll be even higher in terms of this sporting travel, business travel, luxury travel combined.
I'm interested in that 145% figure, which is, I mean, fantastic, particularly when we've been through so much uncertainty. You know, the backdrop, of course, is the conflict in this region. But there are always challenges in any business, of course. How do you balance the pressure of a global event like the World Cup with the standards that your clients expect? Because, you know, you're operating in a realm of ultra luxury or expectations as such, aren't they?
And this is one of the main differentiators in terms of our promise to our customers, Vista's promise, whether it is on VistaJet or through XO.
Right.
And as you rightly said, it's one of the most challenging, making sure that the operational delivery stands up to the expectations every single time. Yeah. So we're fortunate to have a team of 4,500 professionals around the world that back that service. And specifically speaking about the XO marketplace, yes, it's a digital marketplace supported by a lot of technology and visibility of these 2,000 aircrafts and which operators and pricing. But once that trip is booked, it goes back to operational delivery. It goes back to teams that are making sure that the aircrafts are showing up on time, that it is the aircraft that you have booked, that the service is what you expect, and that the journey goes through seamlessly. So it is our experience of 20 years in the industry that allows us to fulfill that promise every time. And it's not a small feat. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are always issues that happen behind, let's say, behind the scenes, whether it is schedule delays, weather problems, aircraft technical issues. But this is where this 4,500 strong organization comes to play to make sure that the customer does not feel the brunt of that, and you still have an enjoyable, seamless experience throughout on our fleet or when we're operating on other operators' aircrafts.
Because you deal in your industry with heightened customer expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you really have to. These are customers that they're on the plane. They expect to take off. They expect to get to where they're getting to. There is no is not.
Yeah, that's the nature of the game.
Yeah,
that's the nature of the expectation. That's the nature of our offering and our promise.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. I'm not sure I'd have the patience, but you clearly have. How's it been for the last 3 months, 100 days? When we get to the end of this year, how are you going to feel looking back at February to June 2026? Do you think for your industry? I mean,
I must say it was a shock for us and for everybody actually over the last 100 days in the region with the conflict. Yet it's not the first time we navigate through turbulent global incidents.
I like the analogy
events.
there. You work turbulence and that's
yeah. So it's something we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. Okay.
So the strength of our global presence and the diversified nature of our offering, from the US to Europe to Asia to India to Africa to the Middle East, allows us to flex across the world and stomach these turbulences.
Okay. And how's it been financially, if I can ask? I mean, if you can't tell me, you can't tell me. But in terms of cost, private aviation costs, what's been the impact of the last few years?
Obviously, the obvious one is jet fuel prices.
Jet fuel, clearly,
And that's a double challenge.
Yeah.
One is the pricing. Costs have shot up almost double what they were pre-conflict. Hopefully now with the recent news, this will start to ease off again.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
But the more challenging element is accessibility and availability of jet fuel.
Yeah.
So that's been the biggest challenge. We've been blessed with our kind of scale and global presence that we do manage that on a global scale. And we do future contract some of our jet fuel, some of our SAF, so that we've got availability. And that is part of the business model to make sure that we can offer this guaranteed availability, guaranteed pricing on the VistaJet front. So that has helped us navigate through that. And for the customers, the fact that our VistaJet offering is a guaranteed pricing shields them from this fluctuation. And for us, it allows us having that visibility of forward demand through these contracted memberships to know what is it we're expecting, and allows us to contract smarter in terms of fuel needs and fuel expectations. With that, it allows us to kind of manage that a little bit better than, I would say, other players, smaller operators. But undoubtedly, this had an impact on our overall cost base.
I'm sure, but I guess in a strangely converse kind of way, that's very good for your relationships with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of transparency.
Yes. The transparency and the stability and the being able to continue to fly all of our fleet. We haven't grounded a single aircraft. Other operators and airlines have grounded aircraft, stopped routes. We're continuing to operate as we were before. And it's great to see as well that traffic in the GCC have started to pick up again in the last few weeks.
Okay. Oh, well, that's good news. Final question for you, Yusuf. What's the next big kind of evolution in private aviation? We're seeing longer, more complex itineraries. Is there now a model, and we've kind of touched on this in conversations that we've had today and in the past, but is it now a model where the aircraft itself is almost like the primary office space?
Yeah. I would say we're seeing two key emerging trends.
Right.
One with the frequent travelers. This getting away from owning an aircraft to owning the service. So private aviation or a private jet as a service. And that's what our VistaJet program offers. You contract the hours, we take care of the hassle of the aircraft. And in that space, it's that model of it's a flying business office. It's your life on the go. So private aviation is a tool then to allow you to get to wherever you want to be for your meetings, for your holidays, for your family get-togethers, for your class reunion. And if you want to be doing business while you're flying, the office in the sky offers you that. We're upgrading all of our fleet to Gogo Galileo connectivity, which is a fast speed and throughput internet connectivity. So that gives you that accessibility and that level of connectivity and mobility. But equally, we're seeing an emergence in entry into private aviation. Over the last couple of years, more than 47% of our new customers are less than 45 years old, which are more digitally inclined, they're more flexible, they're more last minute in their planning, and that's where our XO global marketplace fits into that. So you've got access through the app, through the web, it's on demand, you can book instantaneously. You're sitting with your buddies and you decide to fly to Monaco for the Grand Prix, you can check what's available right there and then, you book it, you fly, you decide to tag on another leg and go to Ibiza, you could get on your app or on the website and check what's there and then you book it. So it's that flexibility and digital access with the younger population. And it's that I've got access to it all, and it's not just a trip for our frequent travelers. So it is business travel with luxury, with the accessibility to work even while you're in the sky, so your office in the sky.
And for your clients, it's all about this being as easy and as seamless as possible.
Absolutely.
No friction, no inconveniences. Yeah. It's a tough business to be in. It's fascinating. Yusuf Malam is Chief Business Officer at the private aviation company. The holding company is Vista. Lots of things under that banner. But it's been good to talk to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming.
Great chat.
There are plenty more business interviews and conversations coming very soon. Stay up to date via mirabusiness.fm.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Business FM, where business comes to talk.
This is the Morning Drive. It's Mira Business FM. Has Sharjah become the UAE's real estate hotspot? There's a question for you. Sharjah's property market hitting record highs. Real estate sales surging 64%. I've got to get the figures right. To 65.6 billion dirhams. Foreign ownership reforms, lower living costs, and major infrastructure projects are fueling demand across the Emirate. We have a new report out. It's from Cavendish Maxwell, the property consultants, and the research manager is Ali Siddiqui, back for the second time to our studio. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
You're very welcome to the show. Let's start with the big picture, if we can. How has Sharjah moved from a secondary market to a primary investment destination in not a very long time?
That's true. So the visa reforms initially came, not the visa reform, the freehold reforms actually came in 2022. That's when Sharjah initially allowed foreign ownership. Prior to that, it was only allowed at a leasehold level. So majority of the transactions or majority of the sales that were done in Sharjah specifically were done through Emiratis and a bit of GCC nationals as well.
Right.
Fast forward to 2022, that's when they had the whole reform where they allowed foreign ownership. Now the split, if you were to, let's say, compare it from 2019 onwards, 85% of the market was predominantly owned by Emiratis. Fast forward to, let's say, 2025, it's at 65%. So your foreign ownership has brought in roughly around 30% investments from non-GCC nationals.
The thing about Sharjah is that that came out as though there's an issue. I didn't mean it that way, but Dubai and Abu Dhabi get the headlines. They really dominate, don't they? So I think this is a shift that kind of grabs the attention. Perhaps more, particularly at a time like now. Things have been so uncertain. But what's driving this kind of growth, do you think, really?
It's a combination of factors. Now, what initially happened was that when the reforms came in, we saw a couple of developers launch freehold projects, and they performed really well. So they got sold out really fast. Now, developers saw that, there's a demand in the Sharjah market, and that's when they started bringing on new projects. So we saw a record number of new launches in 2024 and 2025 as well, coupled with foreign investment that came in. And again, that was seen in the foreign direct investments that was seen for Sharjah. It had a record performance last year as well. So number of new launches increased. Foreign investors started putting their money into Sharjah. Domestic demand was already there in the market. It is just that on top of the domestic demand, we saw foreign investors putting their money into Sharjah.
There's a few things that you've highlighted. Foreign ownership reforms, competitive living costs, the infrastructure projects as kind of the core catalyst. But just how significant has foreign ownership reform been? Can you put that into
It has been significant. Like I said initially, so the 85% of the market in 2019 was Emirati. The remaining 15% was GCC nationals. Fast forward to, let's say, 2025, Emirati contribution has gone down to 68%. GCC nationals at 2%, and the remaining 30% is non-Emirati, non-GCC. So as you might have seen, from being zero in 2019, it has become almost 30% of the market.
I mean, it's a lot. It's almost 7 years. It's just no time at all, is it? See, we've got rising living costs in other parts of the UAE. Does the data point towards Sharjah becoming a go-to choice for working professionals? I mean, how much of this 64% surge is driven by end users rather than speculative investors?
Now, see, the thing is that in terms of speculative demand, it's a bit difficult to put that specifically in Sharjah because Sharjah doesn't have any specific anchors. Now, for example, in Ras Al Khaimah, you have the Wind coming up, right? In Abu Dhabi, you have your Warner Brothers Park, you have your Disneyland coming up. Dubai has multiple attractions as well. Now, Sharjah specifically doesn't have that at the moment. If and when that comes up, that's a different story. But at the moment, it doesn't have that. And if 68 or 65% of your investment is coming in from Emirati, that basically says that you have strong domestic demand into the market. So people are actually staying in those units rather than just buying it. Fine. The off-plan segment is a different story altogether. Again, the split is more or less the same over there. High Emirati influence, a lot of Emiratis are buying it, but you also have foreign investors purchasing those property. Now, it's a combination again, similar to Dubai, where we have investors, where we have end users. But what we have seen in Sharjah specifically is that the end user demand is slightly higher when compared to any other Emirates.
Infrastructure expansion is a part of this. I was in Sharjah at the weekend, and it's kind of frustrating that roads are being built, but it's looking to the future, of course. There are some major road and utility projects underway. How much do these specific upgrades to infrastructure influence market pricing and demand compared to the softer appeal of the emirate? Sharjah is very much looked on as like it's a family emirate, isn't it?
Accessibility has been one of the biggest issue for Sharjah.
It's always been.
Yeah. So if you look at the peak hour traffics, you will easily spend close to an hour, 2 hours, or even more than that during peak hour traffic.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that a lot of people are actually staying in Sharjah and they're working basically in Dubai. So roughly around 500,000 people daily travel through Sharjah to Dubai for work. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, infrastructure development is something which has been happening for quite some time now. So it initially started off with the expansion of the 311 highway. I'm not sure if you remember, but way back then there used to be a roundabout called National Paints Roundabout. It was the most crowded place in Sharjah at that point of time. And the 311 entrance right into Sharjah was a 3-laner. Now that was changed to a 5-laner. The roundabout got removed.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there's construction activity happening across Sharjah to improve connectivity. There's the 611 expansion happening. We have the Ittihad rail coming in. And I think a couple of days earlier, Sharjah announced the underground tunnel in Al Taun. So again, similarly, Taun also had a historic roundabout, which used to cause a lot of traffic. Now they are planning to remove that roundabout and build an underground tunnel, which is basically going to again improve connectivity into Dubai and into Sharjah as well.
Yeah, National Paints was. I remember doing traffic bulletins in the early 2010s, and if National Paints wasn't in there, that was a special day. Yeah. How much of this demand is coming from people priced out of Dubai?
Not much, honestly. Now, each emirate, as I say, has their own appeal, right? And even prior to the reforms that we had in terms of the freehold property, a lot of demand still comes in from your Emirati nationals. So people being priced out, it would be quite small, not that much. Sharjah has its own appeal. Sharjah as such never had a master plan or a master development. So when initially Zahia and your Al-Jada came in, those were new concept to Sharjah. And people really liked those because Sharjah, like I said, never had a proper development where you had a gated community, where you had all the amenities within the community.
Yeah.
And now since we have those, people really liked it. That's the reason we are seeing a lot of sales happen.
Yeah, it was never like that, was it? Which areas, what property types are seeing the strongest appeal, strongest demand?
I'll break it down between rentals and sales.
Yeah.
Now, majority of your sales activity from a freehold point of view is happening on the 311 and 611 corridors. Now, on your 311 corridor, we have your Al-Jada, we have your Al-Zahia, and different phases of those community that's coming in. Now, moving on to 611, we have Mamsha over there, we have Nasma, and we have Tilal City. Apart from that, in terms of future development, we have Khalid bin Sultan City coming in. We also have a lot of construction happening in Altai. So a lot of these freehold construction activities actually moving from the main city towards the highways, which is 311 and 611. From rental point of view, now the rental rates in Sharjah has grown significantly when compared to any of the other emirates. Rental rates have grown across different communities. You have your Majaz, Muela for that matter, where your rental rates have almost shot up by 17% year on year. Now, Sharjah, for example, has a 3 years rental freeze, where for the first 3 years of your contract, you wouldn't be able to, the landlord wouldn't be able to increase your rent. Regardless of that, the rental rates in Sharjah have grown drastically.
64% surge in retail sales is a massive number. Q1 transaction values up 41%. So very impressive numbers, strong numbers. But for any investor, for anybody looking at the market, the next question is always, is it sustainable? Right? Do these kinds of numbers reveal a market that's fairly valued, or is there potential for overheating? Could there be a correction next year? What do you see?
So the thing at the moment for Sharjah specifically is that we don't have that many projects expected to be launched anytime soon. Now we have a project by Aleph, which is right next to the Ittihad Rail that was recently announced. But apart from that, I don't see any other new launches happening anytime soon. Now, the new launches that happened in 2024 and 2025 were the reason where that was the reason we saw that the market had grown so much. Now, again, if your new launches reduce, your transaction volumes are expected to reduce as well. Now, so far this year, what we have seen was that April again was a really strong month for Sharjah, where transaction volumes increased year on year. May, on the other hand, we saw a slight softening. Now, again, the other factor for that is we had we had a long Eid holiday where we had 5 less working days. So assuming that those working days were there, we would probably see an increase in May as well. But what I anticipate is that the rate of growth would be there, but not at the same levels as we had seen previously. Because again, you need new launches for that to sustain.
Okay. I mean, property investment isn't always, it's not just capital appreciation, it's yield as well. So how are rental prices in Sharjah tracking against this surge in sales values?
Like I said, so rental rates have almost increased by 15 to 20% in the apartment segments. Villas, on the other hand, has grown by 10 to 15%. What's interesting is that capital appreciation is something which is not as much in Sharjah. So you have your capital appreciation, but the level of growth is higher for rentals. So from an investor's point of view, find there's capital appreciation there in the market. But the main thing for them is the rental demand. So once the unit gets completed, or let's say if they're buying an existing unit, how quickly they would be able to rent those units out. Now, within these freehold projects, your rents are almost at par with the rates in the external areas of the pie. So that's something which is unknown for specifically for Sharjah, where your rates are more or less in line with the pie. But people are still saying over there, the units have been occupied. So it's not that demand isn't there. Now, if you look at the rental contract numbers, close to around 40,000 new contracts came in last year. So that means 40,000 new households actually moved into Sharjah.
So, I mean, people are looking at Sharjah as a long-term play rather than a cheaper alternative to Dubai.
True.
I mean, that much is clear, isn't it?
Yeah.
So now we've got this 65.6 billion dirham mark here. What's the next growth frontier? Are there specific zones or neighborhoods that we should be watching in the next 18 months? Is there any, what's the gossip around the water cooler kind of thing?
What I anticipate is that we would see a lot of construction happening on the 611 corridor. Now, Sharjah luckily has a lot of land. And like I said, majority of the freehold construction is happening on either the 311 corridor or the 611 corridor. Yeah. Now, 611, specifically on the 611 corridor, we have a couple of projects that are coming in, such as the Khalid bin Sultan City, which is by Bia Group, and we have the Tilal City over there as well. And there's a lot of land plot over there. So what I anticipate over the next 18 months is probably an infrastructure-led development. So projects closer to infrastructure development, such as the airport expansion. Now, both the 311 corridor and the 611 corridor are right next to the Sharjah airport, so that's closer over there. We also have the Ittihad Rail coming up as well. So a lot of these developments would be closely linked to the infrastructure development that's happening in Sharjah. Now, apart from that, we could also potentially see an expansion in the freehold areas. Now, that's something which is to be seen. We have seen freehold increase drastically in Sharjah. If that happens, that's a different story altogether then. But again, I don't anticipate it to expand further than the corridors that we have at the moment. So it'll either be on 311 or the 611.
How important is Ittihad Rail and the airport expansion as well?
Now, Ittihad Rail specifically is going to help Sharjah being more accessible. Yeah. Right? We all know about how much traffic is there in Sharjah specifically. And there might be residents who work in Sharjah who might end up using Ittihad Rail. But what will happen is that people would have another opportunity to move into Sharjah. People that have not been in Sharjah previously just because of the traffic, they might say that fine, we have the Etihad rail coming up. Let's just move into Sharjah. We have similar apartments or similar villas to Dubai at 30-40% less price. So that's a good incentive for any buyer. Now, in terms of the airport expansion, at the moment, Sharjah Airport has close to around 19.5 passengers every year. They plan to increase that to 25 million by 2027. Now, given the current situation we are in, we'll have to see on how that numbers eventually come out to be. But again, connectivity in terms of road connectivity, in terms of air, is really important. Now, if you have your high net worth individuals or ultra high net worth individuals, they would need to travel across to different countries. Now, if you have connectivity across different airlines, now Sharjah Airport at the moment has close to around 32 airlines on books at the moment, which has increased compared to the previous year. So that's another thing. So if your airport is expanding, you would eventually get in more airlines, and your connectivity would eventually improve. So from an ultra high net worth individual or a high net worth individual's point of view, it would be another plus point for them.
33,000 new homes planned by 2030, I'm reading. Is that a risk of oversupply, do you think?
I think the risk is manageable at this point of time. We have seen Sharjah's population grow drastically, and Sharjah has always benefited from Dubai. So whenever there's a growth in population in Dubai, people have always looked for a better option in Sharjah in terms of larger units at less prices. So it's on two fronts. So Sharjah's own population is growing, and then you have, let's say, a population growth in Dubai. So those people, so you'll have your spillover demand as well. Apart from that, what we have seen historically across any market within UAE, for example, we have seen a materialization rate of 30 to 40%. So we say there's 33,000 units expected to come in, but realistically, only 30 to 40% of those in a specific year would actually come in. So 9,000 units are anticipated to come in 2026. Realistically, you will probably only see 3,000 actually hit the market. The remaining would move on to the next year. Now, all of these are actually committed supply. So it's not like the projects would be cancelled. It's just that the timelines would be extended. So given the population growth that is forecasted for Sharjah, I think that the risk is manageable.
There's been an image change, hasn't there? I mean, traditionally, historically, Sharjah has been quite traditional, quite conservative. It's been very much an industrial emirate, huge industrial area. We're seeing more luxury, more lifestyle developments, very akin to what we see in the other emirates. Is the image of Sharjah changing?
Well, definitely. Yeah. It is changing. Like I said, Sharjah has never experienced master plan development. Now, these master plan developments are performing really well. They are being sold out really quickly. And these developments are almost at par with the developments in Dubai in terms of sizes, in terms of amenities, in terms of the features that are available within those properties at nearly like 30-40% less than Dubai's rate. So what Sharjah is doing at the moment is that they're constructing units which have that quality that can compete with Dubai at a far cheaper price.
Who's the typical investor buying into Sharjah? From the research that you have, are they the same type of investor that we see in Dubai? Is it a different kind of person segment in the market?
We're seeing a lot of end user demand, as I had mentioned earlier. Why? Because people within Sharjah that have spent so many years in Sharjah, what they see is that rather than renting out, we'll just buy a property. And it makes more sense. What we have seen in Dubai as well, a lot of families that have stayed in the region for the last couple of years, they think that, okay, we have spent so much on rent, why not just get a property?
It's time.
It's time.
I think. Yeah. Okay. What does Sharjah offer now that its neighbours don't offer? Is it the? I mean, I see it as a value proposition for families, and I think that's probably most of us think that way. Or is there, look at the industrial area, for example. Is that a play that makes it more attractive to a sector?
So, foreign direct investment is something which has been quite strong in Sharjah in 2025. Apart from that, we have seen business licenses increase as well. So businesses are moving into Sharjah. Now, once businesses move into Sharjah, they would create jobs. Once you have jobs, you basically have the demand for housing as well, right? So it's a combination of factors. A lot of people are investing into Sharjah. There's an increase in business licenses. There's spillover demand from Dubai as well. Now, Sharjah historically has been conservative. It's still conservative at the moment. The restrictions that are placed in Sharjah, such as alcohol, that hasn't changed, and we don't anticipate that changing anytime soon as well. So with all those things, Sharjah is still able to perform as a feat on its own, right? So that is due to the domestic demand. A lot of the demand that comes into Sharjah is through domestic channels.
Right.
That has helped Sharjah perform really well.
Okay, so a final question for you, because we're nearly at time. If you had to pick one thing, one trend, one particular part of research that you do day to day that's going to define Sharjah's real estate scene for the rest of this year into next year, what would it be, do you think?
Basically track on where the freehold projects are coming up, because that's going to have an implication on infrastructure development as well. Because where you have freehold projects coming up, majority of the infrastructure development happens across near those areas. Yeah. So it's a good sign for an investor to track where these projects are coming up, and basis that they could take a decision.
Okay. I always do this. I always say final question, then I think of another thing I wanted to ask you. Final question, I promise. If you're an investor, you're a property investor potentially, you're sitting on a pile of cash that you want to spend on a property, you're trying to decide whether to enter Sharjah now. What should your strategy be?
From an investor's point of view, if you are looking for, let's say, rental returns, you would have to look at which communities have actually occupied, what the occupancy rates in those specific communities are. If you're looking for capital appreciation, you can always look at the 611 corridor that's up and coming. But from a rental return, as I mentioned, you have seen rental rates go up in Sharjah a lot because a lot of spillover demand from Dubai came in. And a lot of people have started staying in those freehold projects. So again, we need to look at what the occupancy rates are in those specific projects that you're planning to invest in. If the occupancy rates are good, it's definitely worth investing.
Makes sense. Ali Siddiqui is the research manager at the property consultancy Cavendish Maxwell. It's good to have you back, Ali.
Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you. If you enjoyed today's discussion, make sure you share it. Leave us a comment as well. Good one, Sharjah. Ali, thank you. Sorry, I feel like that was
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.